You visit the earth and water it. You greatly enrich it with the river of God, which is full of water. You prepare them corn when you have provided for it. You water the ridges abundantly. You set the furrows in it. You make it soft with showers. You bless the springing of it. You crown the year with your goodness, and your paths drop fatness. Weston A. Price would like that. They drop upon the pastures of the wilderness, they being the waters. Drop upon the pastures of the wilderness, and the little hills rejoice on every side. The pastures are clothed with flocks. The valleys also are covered over with corn. They shout for joy. They also sing. The valleys and flocks shout for joy and sing. We don't normally think about that. We hear about the gifts of the Spirit. We read about those in several places in the New Testament, the gifts of the Spirit. And I would suggest that we can appreciate how the gifts of the Spirit can run in the church by appreciating how the gifts of different life forms exist in nature. We all fill a niche. You and I fill a niche. Our animals fill a niche. Our tomatoes fill a niche. The actinomycetes fill a niche. The earthworms fill a niche. Everything has a relational complexity and is fundamentally integrated and not segregated. It's fundamentally integrated and not segregated. So that order, the functionality of things, comes from an order. You know, so when the world experts told us that there's a new way to feed cows, where we grind up dead cows and feed them to cows. So I've been in these situations. You know, I sat down at a banquet table. I can't remember where it was, another conference I was speaking at. 6 of us, you know, these round banquet tables. I sit down, and you know, normally you kind of introduce yourself around the table. You know, hi, I'm Joel, and I'm, you know, Allison, and I'm Mark. And, you know, we all sat down, and the guy looks at me, and I mean, just first thing he says, I mean, I don't even know what his name is. He just simply says, "I hate Christians." So here we are. Okay? Here we are. It's a real dilemma. It's a real problem. So I'm going to very quickly, I know I'm out of time, but imagine if our churches adopted farmers to buy their food from. We're getting together every week anyway. Why don't you adopt 5 or 6 farmers? One can be the, you know, beef guy, one can be the tomato, one can bring the noodles, and one, you know, whatever. But within our churches, imagine if a few mega churches, Joel Osteen and whatever, okay? Imagine if a few of them adopted 6, 7, 10 farmers to feed that congregation. Wow, what a deal that would be. It would drive the environmentalists nuts. What? Church is interested in stewardship? How can that be? That's crazy, you know. All right, number 2. How about if our churches focus on creating a parallel universe community? A parallel universe community. Instead of patronizing the yellow pages and the world system, how about we develop a directory of expertise, and we start building a community of people who know how to build things, fix things, and grow things within our own churches. So we know who the mechanic is, who the electrician is, who the plumber is, who the roof fixer is, who the food grower is, who's the herbalist that can fix me without going to the hospital, who's the one that's gifted to massage and can fix my, you know, sore muscle without you know, a prescription. Are you with me? But instead, we come to prayer meeting and we're all praying about trying to find the best orthodox thing for whatever ails us, instead of building our parallel universe. So you know, a directory of expertise within the body, work projects within the body. You know, instead of me hiring somebody who couldn't care a lick about these things, how about we present our work projects to the group? I mean, this is what the Amish do. I've always said I'd like to be Amish. I just don't want the narrow suspenders. I mean, I have a deep appreciation for the Amish. I just don't want to have to wear the costume. But I have a deep appreciation. I'm not saying this. I mean, it's funny, but it's very true. I mean, I would love to not have to pay insurance to anybody, because I know if the house burns down, a bunch of 50 people are going to swarm over the house, raise it, get it. I'll have a brand new house in 2 weeks. Don't have to pay for it. That's cool. Okay. Instead of paying $10,000 a year for house insurance, property insurance, all these things, into a system that is devoted and dedicated to disrespecting and dishonoring creation. How about another one? How about we turn our church yards into gardens? So instead of having our landscape crew, instead of running a bunch of zero-turn mowers over the lawnscape every week, we actually open it up for community gardens and start growing food and have an edible landscape instead of just, I like flowers too. You can eat some flowers too, but I mean, we have expansive yardscapes. What if the landscape committee turned into a growing food committee? Wouldn't that be something? Next one, church kitchens. Churches have lots of kitchens, big kitchens. We could turn those kitchens into teaching centers for culinary arts. They could be, we could teach people how to cook, how to can, how to do these things. They could be community food processing hubs. The church could buy extra big canners and extra big food dehydration centers, freeze dryers, that sort of thing, so the community of gardens and people could come there, and you don't have to be a Christian. This is just community outreach, okay? Becoming a center of visceral participation in creation stewardship. So that our church kitchens are not just places to accumulate Costco stuff on sale to put in the homeless food barrel. How about we all say we're going to collect food, but it's going to be food that you grew in your garden, so it's really nutritious stuff and not the scratch and dent stuff from Costco. All right, another one. How about if church functions were turned into visceral intentionality? That's a big word. Church functions into visceral intentionality. So, for example, we have a potluck, and everybody has to bring stuff from scratch and put the recipe on the dish. How about the youth group, instead of going to King's Dominion or some resort place, how about the youth group gets armed with hoes and mattocks and goes and chops thistles on some neighbor's farm or cleans out, to learn how to battle sin. Brambles came from sin, right? Brambles came up. So we're going to learn how to battle sin. We're going to come up with this bolt of 4 rows, and we're going to, let's see now, where's this weak spot? We're going to attack the weak spot. And we're going to, root out sin. Now, when the youth group meets, guess what? They got an object lesson of how do you deal with sin? What's your weak link? Remember that bolt of 4 rows you dug last week? And you circled around. Look at that thing. Where can I get in there and get a whack at that thing? So what's that in your life and your sin? Where's the weak link? Where can you get a whack at this problem? Are you with me? Wouldn't that be cool? How about we don't use any styrofoam in our services. Instead, we wash dishes and don't fill up any trash cans. How about healthy snacks in the nursery and for VBS instead of GMO cookies and M&Ms? Finally, how about parishioners? We cultivate parishioner awareness and activity. In this space, we have this idea that you've got to have your attitude right and everything else will fall in place. Jesus said, you remember what he said? He said, store up treasure in heaven, for where your treasure is, yes, thank you, you finished it for me, there will your heart be also. We've got it backwards all the time. We say you got to get your heart right, get your heart right, get your heart right. Huh? You start doing the right things and your heart will follow. You start doing the right things. Activity creates attitude. We know this from all the self-improvement books. Think about about how many of them you want to have a new habit in your life. You know, the 66 steps, like you do it supposedly 66 days and it's a habit. I've done that. It actually works. I might not like it. I might not enjoy it. But I know I need to do it. So I do it. And you do it for 66 days. It becomes a habit. Okay? Well, that's the same way a lot of this is. Imagine if we started just doing some things like everybody in the church is going to get we're all going to go together and we're going to we can buy them in bulk, probably get a discount. Everybody's going to get a solarium on the side of their house. A solarium. We got one on the side of our house. And don't tell me you got to have a new house. Our house was built in 1790, and it has a top grade cedar built kit solarium on it. Okay, so you can grow cool, hardy stuff in the winter, and you don't have to go to Costco. You don't have to come to Permian. I can't afford this food. Grow your food, for crying out loud. And the church will come around and help you. And somebody who has a green thumb in the church will do a class in the church kitchen and a demo in a cold frame out back and show you how to do this. Okay? So we're not having to go down to Walmart and buy our sustenance. And we're creating a parallel universe. How about we get the plumbers together to show everybody and start putting everybody a gray water system in their houses so we can reduce our water by 50%. Half of all the water in America goes down the toilet. All we got to do is replumb and save a lot of water. Cisterns, you know, we'll put in cisterns. Collect your roof water. Now you don't have a utility bill. Unplug the system. Backyard chickens. You know, everybody should have their own eggs, gardens, you know, wood stoves. We'll show you how to run a chainsaw. Maybe somebody sells wood. Build hoop houses. These are goals. What these are not to try to create some sort of elite thing. Our whole goal here is that when the world is hopeless and helpless, we as a body provide hope and help for the pain points of the world. If I ask for a laundry list this morning, all the stuff that you're frustrated about, angry about, we can all make a pretty big list. Okay? But our objective should be to take that list and instead of being angry and frustrated about it, let's be innovative and creative, building hope and help when societies become helpless. We then become a city set on a hill, a community of attractiveness physically that draws people to attractiveness spiritually. And that's what this weekend's been about. This weekend's been about trying to awaken the faith community, awaken so that we take these ideas, these principles to our churches, and if we can create a movement of stewardship and authentic responsibility and wrestling with consistency viscerally in our congregations, our churches, our faith community, we would suddenly garner equity. We would garner societal equity where people would say, wow, I want to go hear them. And we wouldn't squander what we have. We would actually elevate it. We would leverage it and bring people to the kingdom. That's what we're after. Building the kingdom, bringing the kingdom. And we can't do it when we're mired down, trying to live like, act like, recreate like, entertain like, be like the world. It is time for us as a faith community to set ourselves apart, serve Him where? Without the camp. To create a line of differentiation that is so attractive, the world can't stand it, and they want to come and hear our message.